Something really amazing happened last Sunday morning. I brought my grandson to church for the very first time. I was on my own all weekend with him. His mum and dad had gone to a wedding, so I was looking after him. Saturday night, I'd moved him from the bed after he'd fallen asleep into the cot, which I think I'd probably very awkwardly turned my hand. I woke up Sunday and I was fine. I was a little bit discomfort with my wrist, but I put him in the car seat. We came to church, and actually he went into creche after being in the service for the first part. I've never been into creche for, over 20 odd years since my two were little. So it's the first time I've ever been in creche. By the end of creche, my wrist was getting increasingly painful during the morning service, and by the end of it I could barely move my wrist. It was so painful, and so Dave Spooner happened to be in church, and they asked him to come and have a look at my wrist. He was amazing, and he was able to diagnose the problem with my wrist immediately, and said one of the things I would need to have very quickly was a splint, just to immobilise it because the tendons had swollen. Andrea Calloway happened to be on duty in creche, and she overheard this, and she just happened to say, well, I think I've actually got a left-handed splint at home because I'm actually left-handed. I was worried about getting home because I obviously couldn't drive at this point because I couldn't actually bend my wrist. And Andrea arranged with her son, Noah, whose car happened to be parked virtually next to my car park in the church car park. And he said, I'll take you home. He quickly transferred the baby seat into his car, took me home. Andrea went and got the splint. Dave Spooner spoke to me in the afternoon to make sure I was going to be treating it correctly, and I was able to tell him I'd managed to get a splint. Now, all that was just amazing. I'd never been into creche I haven't been into creche for years. That Dave Spooner was there, that Andrea was there. She happened to have a splint at home, and it would have been really difficult for me to go to A&E. And as Dave Spooner said, I would probably have spent 10 hours in A&E trying to get it sorted when, in fact, the treatment he told me was perfectly appropriate. And it was just amazing that God used people, one after the other, to solve a problem that I'd had on Sunday morning, and particularly as I was on my own. And wouldn't be able to even change a nappy, let alone do anything else. So I just think it's amazing that God can use people in all your circumstances, and it made me realise wherever we are, at whatever point we are, God is there. He can use people to help us through those difficult circumstances. Isn't that just amazing?